Hey guys, welcome to the video. Today I'm going to talk about drag bars for your Indian Scout bobber. Now, if you're like me, I was initially deterred by the lack of options, the price of set options. There's just not really a lot out there, and there's reasons why. And this install is relatively simple. If you got about an hour of your time, some Allen wrenches, some drills, and some drill bits, you should be just fine. And not to mention, I'm going to show you how to get rid of those little exposures on the drop down mirrors. Now, the drag bar was my personal choice, but this installation video basically covers any type of aftermarket, kind of the cheaper versions of the handlebars that can go on your bike here. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm very willing to spend a decent amount of money on certain upgrades, but to me, handlebars just weren't that critical. I didn't see the difference in the $30 pair I found on Amazon or eBay versus, the alternates. So, yeah, let's get to it. So this jig is something I personally designed myself and printed. It makes the process a lot easier in my opinion, but you can definitely do it with just, a marker and a tape ruler or a caliper. So don't stress it, but I will make it available, linked below. And while you're at it, do me a favor, check out my Etsy store. I got some turn signals, low profile ones that I'm pretty proud of. I've made them really economical, a really cheap upgrade for you. A lot of people have got them and liked them so far. So yeah, so a quick note on the handlebar anatomy. Indian has a design such that the portion I'm holding there is 7/8 of an inch and it tapers into the center, which is 1 inch. This makes it difficult to buy aftermarket because they're typically all either 1 inch or all 7/8 inch. So what you have to do is actually buy a 7/8 inch, and then as I show you, you're going to use spacers in the middle. Everything else, your controls, your handlebar grips, is 7/8 inch. So to start off, grab a 6mm hex. You got to get these handlebar ends off. So pop off the right one. Comes off real nice. Move over to the left. Same thing. Now grab yourself a 1/8 hex. To take off the right controls, there's going to be 4 bolts. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And on the left side, it's held on with 2 bolts only. 1 and 2. And once I got them off, I kind of just let them hang by the wires off to the side. It's not going to hurt anybody. Now for your lever mounts, 5mm hex, 2 bolts on each side, left and right. Super easy. The grip on the left is held on by friction and mostly some glue. So get some compressed air, blow it underneath, and twist as you blow, and it'll eventually come off. It's not too bad. Now for the center, grab a 6mm hex. And again, this is the only portion that actually needs a 1-inch bar. So just remember that. But break these, crack them open, take them all the way out, and it'll pop off. So install your new handlebars, and the key to using 7/8 inch handlebars is by using these little spacers. It adapts it from 1 inch to 7/8 inches. One quick note, your handlebar needs to be at least 30 inches measured end to end. Anything shorter, it might start hitting stuff. Now most handlebars aren't going to have the holes drilled out for these controls. And as you can see, there's a little post. So what we have to do is drill the holes for each one of the posts. As you can see here, I've already done it, but I'm going to show you how to go through the process. So using my jig does 2 things. The pencil is 90 degrees to the hole, and it basically shows you where your controls are going to face when you drill that hole in that position. And the other thing it does is it stops it at the right distance for the hole. So the hole on the left side goes in the back, the hole on the right side goes in the front. And if you're doing this without the jig, the distance from bar end to hole is 7 inches, and that'll give you the reveal on the end with your mirrors. If you don't want the reveal and want to cover that up like I did, it's going to be 6.6 inches from end to hole. Once you have the position you want, you're going to mark it. Again, this is the wrong example. Left side is back, but the point is you mark it, and that's where you're going to drill. So by my measurements, the hole should be 210 thousandths, which is a number 4 thereabouts. I didn't have one of those, so I used a 7/32, and I was really happy with the results. Really take your time on these, mark it, put the controls on, stand up the bike, test out the position, make sure it's exactly where you want before you drill. So now with your holes drilled, you're just going to do all the installation steps backwards. So find your controls, locate that same little post I showed you earlier, and just fit it into the hole. If you have it right, the two halves will come together real nice. Now I had the handlebar grip on from a previous install, but you're actually going to want to do the controls first, as they set the distance for both of your grips. And then you just take the other two bolts, secure them together. So your levers go on next. These both have two bolts as well. And just butt them up right up against the controls. 2 bolts each. Take your time, sit down on your bike, and get the angles of these levers just the way you like it. Now as you can see, the brake line comes into this right one, so it's going to take a little special tweaking here. So this little nut is called the banjo nut, and what you're going to want to do is just crack it. Do not loosen it too much, or the brake fluid will come out and spill all over your bike. Once you do get it cracked, you can actually adjust it a little bit to where the brake line fits and doesn't hit your headlight anymore. I haven't done it yet, but when I do decide to change the brake line, I suspect you can actually flip the banjo nut upside down. That to me would work a lot better with the drag bar. But then of course you'd have to refill all the brake fluid, bleed the brake line, and it wasn't something I really wanted to do for this install, so this works. One of the fun things with this drag bar is there's not a lot of room to work, so get creative with zip ties and kind of tuck away these wires as best you can. I was mostly just trying to keep it off the paint. With the clutch line, you want to be careful not to put too tight of a kink or a bend in these, as it'll affect the way it feels. So big looping bends, give it plenty of room. On my first install, I tried to reroute the clutch line to be more hidden, and it ended up putting too tight of a bend into it. And what that did was it made it so I couldn't pull the clutch back as easy, so just be careful. Just putting the finishing touches on the angle, getting it just where I wanted it. And snug it up. So if you don't already have these bar end adapters, you're going to have to buy a pair. I found some cheap ones on Amazon for about $10 that work really well. As you can see, if you did all your measurements carefully and right, it's going to fit just perfect. On this throttle, you're going to want to make sure there's not any friction between the throttle and the mirror, especially when you're putting them in like this. And when I tell you there is a very small amount of clearance with these drag bars, you got to be careful. You got to make sure you got these mirrors positioned just right. So sit down on the bike, move it left and right really slow, knowing it might hit it. So adjust those mirrors and tighten them down real tight so they don't move. Well, that is it, everybody. Not too bad at all. I love this change. It makes it feel way more aggressive. I know it's not for everybody, but it's one of my favorite changes I've done to this bike so far. I really like how it rides. So if I helped you out or you liked the video, do me a favor, go check out my Etsy store. I got these turn signals pictured here. I got the rear ones. I got a vertical license plate. And I got a forward foot control kit that I should have done here in a couple of weeks. So yeah, besides that, enjoy the bike. Get out there and ride, guys.